I'm now working for.
I thought I'd
Mojo
say that
now.
at the beginning.
Yeah, until 2006 I was with Rotax, because otherwise people maybe they only
Confused.
know me.
As Mr. Mojo.
Yeah. Because I'm always running around like this, you know.
Welcome to the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals live studio, coming to you from gorgeous Sarno, Italy. I'm joined by Manfred Weisgerber. Manfred, now, of course, we know you as Mr. Mojo, working with Mojo since 2006, formerly with BRP Rotax. And of course, this is exciting. We're here in Sarno, 20 years of the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals. And that's why you're my special guest tonight, because Manfred, you were actually where this all started. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, because I'm actually wondering, how did it start? And I think a lot of people out there, maybe some of the younger generation also, are wondering, 20 years, but how did it start? We've seen the videos and everything on social media.
The whole thing started when Rotax more or less created a brand new engine with electric start and centrifugal clutch, because at that time it was only 100cc racing. So then they had the engine, it was tested. Some distributors found it really interesting, but they said, look, we have no class to fit in, because it was all racing was on 100cc, and they were not allowed to race 100cc with 125, you know. So they said, what do we do with this engine? And at that time, you know, I was hired by Rotax for marketing, more or less to sell this engine, or to find a solution or a way how we could sell this engine. I said, look, as it doesn't fit anywhere, we have to create our own racing series. Yeah, okay, easy, of course, you know, racing series. But how do you convince distributors to do a race series 125cc when in every country it was 100cc? I said, okay, we have to do an incentive. Let's make a big race, a world championship race, where the best 3 drivers of each country qualify. At that time, we only had the senior engine. There was no junior or DD2. And it was only 20 distributors at that time, mainly 100cc racing. And I said, okay, let's do it. Okay, so with a very limited budget, you know, we had to find a solution. And at that time, you know, we still had our racing manager, Mr. Moorman from the Netherlands, and he said to me, look, I know a guy, you know, he's from Puerto Rico, and he comes to Genk to the European or World Championship, I can't remember exactly. I will introduce you to this guy. And I said, okay. So I went to Genk to watch the World Championship. I met this young guy. He just finished his race career. He was maybe 25 years old, coming from a very wealthy family from Puerto Rico. And he said, look, I'm interested, you know, to host this first grand final. What do I have to do? And I had to gamble really very high because of no budget. So I said, oh, it's very easy. We need a track, we need the ambulance, we need the timekeeping.
Safety first.
Yes.
Yes.
You
and
have
then the laps.
You have to pay for the airfares of all the drivers. You have to pay for the accommodation. You have to pay for the transport of all the individual carts to the grand finals in Puerto Rico. From each country in a big box with the cart, tools, everything, yeah, and back. And he said, yes, I can do that. Says,
nice.
Oh.
Okay.
You know? And so
there's a commitment.
It was a commitment. More or less, his parents supported him with this idea. He built a brand new kart track, and everybody was going to Puerto Rico. Yeah. No one could believe, you know, in the beginning we had also problems because our competitors said, makes no sense, you know, to participate in this race. They will promise you a world championship with no cost at the end of the season, but it will never happen because simply you cannot finance. Because at that time, and still maybe today, nothing was for free in karting.
Yeah.
So this was my first big luck, because to have an idea is one thing, but to make it happen, you need a lot of luck. So I think I would say 60% of my luck was this gentleman called Eduardo Barreras. Eduardo, maybe
Hi.
you are watching.
Yeah.
Very, very, very many thanks. You know, it was a great time, a great experience to organize the first time, and I would really looking forward to see you and meet you again. Unfortunately, he could not make it this time because of collisions. So this was first luck. The second luck was that a Malaysian multimillionaire with his team was participating in Puerto Rico. And he said, I like this idea. I will do it in Malaysia the year after, but I will do it 10 times better.
Okay.
And that's what really happened. You know, everybody loved Malaysia because it was on an exotic
It was
island.
fantastic. Langkawi.
Yep. And so this is how it all started.
Yeah.
And the year after, it was the first distributor, you know, who organized the race, and then
It went on from there.
yes.
Of
So
course, Langkawi was quite spectacular,
it
and
was.
we had some special guests as well. People that came along, you know, Formula One was going to be,
Yeah.
and the next generation. All these things were happening in Malaysia, so of course it was quite exciting for everybody. But it was such a small group, only one class. But of course they introduced then the masters as well.
Yes.
So and then Nations Cup, and
from
all
there-
these things started to happen.
And then new classes,
Yeah.
junior class,
Yeah.
DD2 class, you know, and
Here we
nowadays if you look, you know, how many classes we have, I mean, how many staff you need now to organize. Nowadays you need more staff to organize this event than we had competitors at the first grand final.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
remember, the first grand finals were without internet. Nowadays it's impossible to organize a race without internet.
That's interesting
It's
to think
complete-
about that, and also, honestly, how it was marketed. That then in Malaysia, everybody wanted to be there, and after this, it just picked up this momentum.
yeah,
Of course, we didn't have all these beautiful brand new carts either, did we? Everybody had their own cart. You had to send it like months before.
I think, I do not know which grand final was the very last one where people were allowed to send their individual cards. But it was not possible anymore because then people started to pack their bicycles in the boxes. The boxes got bigger, you know. The biggest problem was in Australia, the season started already, let's say in December, and in November was the grand final. The cards did not arrive back in time for their national season. So we had to skip to this system, you know.
I
where you
remember
have
in
one
South
chassis
Africa,
brand.
remember the New Zealanders and one of the other teams, their boxes didn't arrive, so they already started the practice and the guys were just...
Because at that time, each individual driver was responsible
Yes.
for his transport. And can you imagine sending a box, you know, from New Zealand to South Africa with customs?
Yeah. And tell me, your partner in crime, Helmut Vogelsam, who unfortunately was busy this evening, but he was also there at BRP to start this. What was his impression or his feeling or reaction?
Helmut at that time was my boss, you know, and he was working for Rotax already for 15 years or maybe even longer. And I was new there, you know, and I had just crazy ideas what we could do. And he always brought me back in a little bit because otherwise I would have gone a complete crazy different direction. So actually we were quite a good team, you know, we were really, I needed him to fulfill, you know, the requirements within the company, and he gave me my freedom, you know, to think about new ideas, and we were really a dream team. And it's really sorry that he's not here at the moment because we would have a lot of fun now.
Yes, we would, and of course we're not going to let him get away with that.
Yes.
So everyone can stay tuned because I'm sure I'm going to grab him and book a meeting. Unfortunately, the meeting's going to be here, and he might be a little bit surprised when everyone's watching. But now, Mandy, I want to take you on a little bit of a challenge, and I'm going to also do this with Helmut and just see what you can come up with. Can you tell me where we are? We're going to show you some photos. This is the 20-year challenge.
You know,
which grand finals?
I think I know, but you know, I have always been working behind the scenes, so I have not seen the races, and you know, and then
I wondered about that, so I tried to pick photos.
This is US, and this lady is singing the US anthem.
That's right. And do you remember what happened right at that time when she was singing? There was something quite...
I think someone complained about the tire.
No. No, I think we had a nice flyover by the
Okay, as usual
US
in the
Marines.
US. Yeah.
yeah, it was fantastic. So, yeah, what about this one? Part of the team there. They're not all with us here this week in Sarno.
I
but
remember Robert, you know.
there's Helmut. Where are we?
Where are we?
Look at the cards.
I'm looking at the light post, you know. I think we are in Elaine.
Okay.
No.
Well, it looks kind of like the desert, doesn't it? But we've got intrepid cards.
Yes, we had them several
Yeah,
times.
and sure enough, there's the flag. And
It's Egypt. No. What flag is this? This is not the flag. You know.
I can't tell you because you'll give Helmut the right
Okay.
right
sure.
answer. Okay, so we'll let that one go.
Yeah, okay.
He thinks it's Elaine.
Okay.
So we'll have a look. But all the some of the faces are here already with us.
Yes. I know
Ken
that.
and Jill Walker are here actually in our live studio tonight. Where are we? Okay, it's a tough one. Maybe I picked the wrong photos. Of course, you're working.
It was 20 grand finals for
I
me, so
know.
it was a lot. As they all had already.
They're in their own race suits. So
Puerto Rico.
it's Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
Yes, it's Puerto Rico.
Because there were a lot of Austrians, you know.
Yes, there are a lot of Austrians, and yeah, in the in the audience here,
In the beginning.
Harry Egger there.
yeah.
Actually, Harry hosted that first European. Oh, yes. Hi, Harry. Thanks for the wave. Where are we?
This was 2017, you know, and this was in Portugal. in
Portugal.
Portimao.
And what we have here was the first exhibition run, the charity race for the Thunder cart, so the e-cart.
Okay.
So this is the latest
I
technology.
remember all the grid girls I mean, by name.
Okay, I should have just had pictures of Greek girls.
This
You
is
know, I
Malaysia.
know where we are. This is Malaysia.
Yeah.
Any idea which one? There's a hint.
It was the second one.
Yes, because we
because
had a lot
of the
of rain. And how did we get rid of the rain, the water from the track?
Fire brigade.
The fire brigade pumped it out.
I can tell you a funny story about the red and yellow tire barriers, you know.
Yes.
They were there before, you know. But Mr. Fauzi found a bank as a main sponsor, and their brand colors was red and yellow. And he explained to the bank, I especially colored all my the tire barrier red and yellow. He was smart.
Yeah. And that was Langkawi the second time. A little bit of rain, but the second time round was a little bit bigger as well.
Yes.
But really,
First time that you have been on
Yes.
an RM1
yes,
card?
yes, that was the beginning. RM1. And talking about the RM1,
Yeah.
where are we? This is the finish line. Wesley Orr, Cristiano Morgado.
This is...
And someone in the audience knows, Analdo.
La
Yes.
Caja, definitely, it must be Spain. So, Lanzarote.
Lanzarote. We introduced the RM1.
Okay.
And this was the first race. So instead of the Max, we had the RM1.
Is this
Cristiano,
Yeah,
five
yeah,
times
yeah,
champion
yeah.
at the grand finals. So yeah, this was a rather special one. Okay,
South Africa,
South Africa.
downhill.
Yeah. Schwarzkopf, and tell me something interesting there. We had a little bit of news about the tyres, which then changed the plan. Because,
was that
yes,
South Africa?
yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Bridgestone said we're going to Formula One,
Yes.
and you had a new job.
Yes.
Find a tyre.
Yes.
What about this one? Any ideas? You can see where it
Portimao.
is, but something special.
This is Ton's wife,
Gabby,
Gabi, from the Netherlands.
she's actually the promoter and organizer of the chrono karting RMC. But this was when we introduced the teams event where you had to vote for your team, favourite team. They started to
But
dress
it's Gabi,
up.
what?
It's
Am I
Gabi.
right? Yeah.
But of course, I also didn't know it was Gabby, and she came up, gave me a big hug, and picked me up, and then I spotted Ton. And
Italy.
familiar place.
Sarno.
We're looking at it.
Yep.
So this was the first one. Which year were we here?
The first one. The first one. We are here, I think, the second time. So
Yeah.
it was exactly 3 years ago.
2016.
Yes.
Yes. And very special, obviously, to come to Sarno. Very famous circuit. And we see all of the pictures in the restaurant and around the track of all the famous drivers that have been here. Okay.
This must be Elaine. With the angle, I'm a little bit confused,
Yes.
but this is definitely
I
Elaine.
did that on purpose because it
yeah.
makes the track.
You want me to confuse?
It's a lane, yes,
Yep.
Marina
Ah,
Circuit,
yeah,
the
okay,
sponsor,
yeah.
and a fantastic place, obviously in the desert. But it changes the track a little. It's almost like driving on wet in wet conditions with this sand.
Because the permanent wind, you know,
Yeah.
and the wind brings in the fine sand.
Yeah.
But this is not Gabi.
No, this is not Gabby. Actually, this is a reindeer, and that's Santa.
Ah, okay.
And they came from Finland, especially for the Mojo tyre changing contest, which we've got the trophy here for
But
this year.
I have no. I know where it is.
Yes.
It is in Brazil.
It was in Brazil, and I picked this photo because I thought we were in Brazil and we had special guests from Finland.
Yep.
So, yes, nice.
Helmut will have no chance.
No, Helmut will have no chance, but I've got some other ones up my sleeve for Helmut. So
Okay.
we're going to do a little bit of a challenge with this. So, Manfred, 20 years. 20 years gone by. Here we are, 20 years later. Did you think we would be sitting here in 20,
No.
20 years with 370 drivers?
No.
All the manufacturers supporting here and all the people, Analdo, special
Maybe
guests.
after the 5th or 6th grand final, I was thinking maybe this could continue. But if someone would have asked me 15 years ago, do you think someone can manage a grand final with 360 drivers? I would have said it's impossible. Impossible. And it when you go to exotic places like Brazil, it really scares me, because I think in Europe it's easier for Rotax, it's easier for the chassis partners, you know, because they come with the trucks, with the infrastructure. If you have a problem, you can send in parts within 12 hours. If you're in Brazil somewhere and you have a problem, it's really tough.
But Brazil
I'm
is
glad
fantastic.
that I'm not responsible anymore.
Yeah.
I'm really glad.
Yeah.
You know.
But you are responsible for a big part. How many tyres are we using this week?
Today
how many
I
are
made a calculation. We handed out so far, including the racing tires, now 2,730 something tires, and had one complaint. One complaint about the rear tire. So this is really amazing, especially today when you saw that, I don't know, 300 something drivers, except the micros, have been changing all their tires within 1.5 hours, taking them off.
Taking off the practice tyres, putting on the qualifying tyres, and now that's their tyres for the event.
Exactly.
Yeah, one
within
set.
1.5 hours, it was
Done.
it was busy down there. Yeah.
And that's why we have the Mojo tyre changing contest, so everyone
Okay.
can practice and we can get them.
I mean, if everybody would be as quick as the finalists, you know, we would have done it in 30 minutes.
Yes, the
but
final is on Saturday night.
Yep.
And of course we were 27 seconds were the fastest two.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yep.
It's going to be good. Talking about micro, I need to talk to Stephen Chapman. We're going to have a look at a video
Okay.
about the new Micro Mini, but I know you've got something special. We've got a new tyre as well. If it rains, will we see it? The W5.
I check every day. I check the weather forecast. To my opinion, it will not rain. So we will not use our new W5 wet tire. I shouldn't have told.
No,
Is
I'm
that
going to
this?
do the rain dance because I want to see
okay,
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I've only heard good things about it.
Yes. Yes.
Can't wait.
I think if people like the D5, they will love.
They're going to love the
they will love
W5.
the W5. I can.
Yes.
I make this promise here now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Manfred, for being with us. We're going to have a look at the video now, but I'm going to definitely get Helmut Vogelsam here from BIP. So, Helmut, if you're watching secretly, yes, you'll be here. The challenge, we're going to give him some other photos.
Okay. No, give him
Not
the
easy.
same.
Okay.
Give
All right,
him
I'll
the
give him the
same.
same.
Be
And
fair, you know?
and then it's a competition. And
Okay.
yes, we're going to talk to some champions later in the week. So now I'm going to have a chat with Steve because I caught up with him a
Yep.
little bit earlier. And
Okay.
we'll see you again, but definitely the Mojo Tyre Changing Contest final on Saturday night at the winners' party.
I will be there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny. It was a pleasure.
Yes.
Should I?
So
Was
Steve
Steve
Chapman
or-
from BRP Rotax, here we are. We're with the Minimax chassis today, having a look at the new upgrades, what's been improved and brought into this
okay.
event
So
for the you first
can
time
leave.
ever
I can leave.
at the grand finals. So maybe you can explain a little bit about what is new and how we would change from one class to the other, because this is an important thing that I think a lot of people want to know now.
Yeah, basically we've come up with a few simple upgrades for the Micromax, and the idea behind these upgrades was one, to slow the class down a little bit because it was a little bit fast for some ASNs, and we've arrived at that with a different exhaust and an insert for the carburetor. These parts together, they make a nice wide stable power band that's very easy to use and operate. It's also very easy to get the gearing and carburation correct to get the optimum performance also. So this has got to be a big plus for the novice as well as the experienced tuner alike. As you can see, we have the carburetor here, and it's just the standard Rotax carburetor that you use in all the other classes, and we have an insert that slides in the back. You insert this in the back and then it goes on the cart like normal, and this is one of the parts for the Micromax that you use, as you can see. This part really improves the throttle response in the engine and cleans up the power band across the range. The next component that we have with the Micromax, we have a complete new exhaust system. And the new exhaust system now has much improved tolerances that ensure parity throughout the field. And it's really a good upgrade. There's a new baffle tube like this, which is not perforated at the end anymore, which gives us a more stable exhaust over its life. And this is inserted inside the new exhaust.
Okay, Steve, so that's basically what they need for the Micro. And if they want to upgrade from Micro to Mini, what's the change now? Because in the past, of course, until now, it's actually been a different exhaust, different radiator. So maybe you can just tell us what would be the upgrade. What do you need?
Yeah. We've basically tried to make things a lot simpler for people moving from Micro to Mini, and also to widen the age group for this entry-level package. And we've done that with a few things. One, we've made it now mandatory that it's on the 950 chassis globally in our regulation, and we've made the engine appear the same as a Micromax from the outside. The radiator's the same, the outsides of the exhaust are the same, but the internals are different. And as you can see, we have a different perforated tube inside the exhaust, and this is what delivers the wide, stable power band that we now have. The speed and performance from the new Minimax is really the same like the last one, but all the drivers report that it has a much better throttle response and it's more fun to drive. To go with the insert for the exhaust, we also then have to use a new ECU with Minimax. And again, this extends the power band and gives us a nice flat power curve, which makes it really easy for the driver and the tuner alike to get the most out of it. And even a normal dad and lad, it makes their life really easy when they get the track, because it's such a simple product to operate.
Okay, so it sounds like it's quite an easy step now. And as you said, in most cases, the world rules would say 950mm chassis. We've actually got one here. Maybe you can show us how it looks on the cart.
So, as you can see now, the engine really fits the cart really well. You know, everything's in the right place. We don't have to space it out sidebars or move bumpers further out to the back to accommodate the exhaust system. And the nice thing is the Micromax looks identical to this from the outside. Also, the driver and his father or his team now, they go from Micromax all the way into Minimax with the same cart. This is again simplifying the sport, because the width's something that they're comfortable with for a 4-year period. Some countries 5, depending on the age group. Now, as you can see, the exhaust is really the same for both categories from the outside, and I'll show you where the internals go. And basically, when you're running the Micromax, this goes inside the exhaust. And when you want to upgrade to Minimax, you take this part and you add this part inside the exhaust, and you add the ECU, and this is it. So simple, easy.
Wow, okay, so that's quite a big change, I guess, from what I've seen, where you've got people having to make adjustments to the side or the bumper just to fit the Minimax chassis, you know, to the Minimax configuration. That's the old way, but for for MY20, the year 20, this is the model. So, yeah, it's interesting. And what about the cost? Is it very expensive for these new parts, or how does it work now? If I've got a Minimax, what do I need to do? Or a Micromax, you know, how much am I going to outlay? Is it going to be like it is now, or a little bit cheaper?
Yeah, for the cost, this is going to be much cheaper. For the simple fact, you don't have to buy a big cart anymore. This is a big expense, especially when you have a big cart and you're trying to fit a small driver inside it. You have to buy expensive pedal extensions to make the child fit in it. You have to purchase a lot of lead to accommodate the small driver in the big cart to meet the class weight. We've really tried to make it as simple and as cost effective as we can for the entry level of the sport, and I think this really fits the bill perfectly.
What about the weight? I know there was a weight change here at the Grand Finals in Sarno as well for the Minimax.
Yeah, what we've done is we reviewed all the medical tables for weights and sizes of children. We also reviewed all the weights of all the drivers entered in the class here, and we have to accommodate an older age range this year than we would normally do in Minimax because we're accommodating the transition period. So we went for 120 kilos. We know the weight of the cart, the weight of the engine, the weights of drivers from the medical tables, and also from the data that we've collected here. And the 120 kilo class weight is really good because we don't have really no drivers that are excessively over the weight, 1-2 kilos. And this is good because if you have 15 kilos on a cart with a kid who weighs 30 kilos, he's got to move around 50% of his body weight. This is not nice for the child, and also it's no fun to drive something too heavy. All these improvements have been about making it more fun, easy to use, and easier for the customer and driver alike to have a good experience from this, and the lighter package is going to deliver this.
And of course it's meeting the standards of some of the ASNs, and of course the FIA karting now looking very closely at the cadet chassis, the cadet classes as well. So I think it's aligned that a little bit from what you've told me.
Yeah, this was our goal. We need to be aligned with the ASNs and the CIK the best that we can. We need to bring the weight to the classes down where it's possible. Like, we have a lot of people who always say, my child's overweight, can't we lift the weight? But this is not fair for everybody, and most importantly, this makes it less safe than it can be. So we really need to be as accurate as we can to get the weights where it's sensible and fair for the mass majority. And this way, then we end up with the packages, as I say, that's fun and easy to drive. The ASNs are satisfied, and it ticks the boxes for me like this.
I think it sounds great. Well, there you have it. A little bit of information, an inside view for all the guys at home that are saying, okay, so how does this work? Something different. You can see it. We're going to take a little look before we disappear, Steve, and let you go. But thank you very much. It's been great.
Well, welcome back to the Rotax live studio here on a very beautiful evening in Sarno in Napoli. The first races of the week took place today. 370 drivers competing in time qualifying, and then their first heat races. There was some fantastic racing. The temperature was red hot. The circuit full of grip, providing some excellent racing. Now, got the results here. Obviously, there are very competitive racing, so there are some Moscow penalties and some other things. So what you saw on the live stream, not all the winners on the track ended up winning in the race, but there was only one, I think, race win that was taken away through a nose cone penalty. We'll get to that shortly. We started off in Micromax. Now, 36 drivers in Micromax, the youngest drivers here, and the winner was Macaulay Bishop from the United Kingdom. The last corner pass on Jay Irwin from New Zealand, there was a little bit of elbows out, as happens all the time at a Grand Finals event. But interesting about Macaulay Bishop, he's done one Micromax race before in the UK. There was just a one-off championship, one ticket available. He won. He came here. This is his second ever time. He's being sponsored by the Bambino Kart Club of the United Kingdom, because the driver he races an independent driver, a privateer, not with the team. And I think the whole Bambino karting scene in the UK sponsored him to come out here, and he has done them very proud. Jay Irwin, very, very fast. Jay's father raced in the Grand Finals several times, and he's been mechanicking as well. But there's plenty more talent just behind them. Finishing third eventually, Malaysian driver Timothy Mikhailov. Always good to see new nations coming up and competing for places on the podium. We then moved on to Minimax, and of course that was the debut of the Comp Kart chassis. Believe in the Fluoro is the monitor of the Comp Kart, and the bright yellow, luminous yellow chassis really looked good in the Grand Finals. It was a very good race. It came down to a head-to-head battle between the Netherlands' Jaden Thien and France's Andy Rattel, head-to-head all the way through. Thien came out on top, but only by a fraction. Jonan Rackmeyer was in third place, and France, three finishes in the top 4, or 3 finishes in the top 5. Paul Alberto finishing well there. Lebanon had a really good run in that. I'm looking down the results now, and it was Sami Abinakle, I think it was, who had a very good run. Edwin Knesser in Minimax for Lebanon. Really good to see some new nations competing at the front. The juniors, 72 drivers, 2 heats, 10 laps of racing. You could hardly take a breath in between. In the first race, Belgium came out on top. Tom Reinertz beating Clay Osborne. A very, very good head-to-head battle. Charlie Wirtz from Austria being watched on by his father, Alex Wirtz. Started on the outside of the front row of the grid, came through to finish third. Very, very close all the way through. Our camera car, Connor Zilic from the United States, he finished in the top 10 as well. The second heat, well, that was a fantastic race. We saw 2 Australians, Hugh Barter and Bro Pronesti, battling. At one point, we thought Pronesti was, he made a bit of a mistake and almost took out his teammate. He finished second on the road, did Pronesti, then got a nose cone penalty that dropped him back. But Hugh Barter, who apparently studies cosmology in his spare time, I'm not sure if that's the Australians having a little bit of fun with the commentator's sheets, but anyway, it was it's in the stars. Hugh Barter took the race win. The seniors, the first race took a little bit of a while to get going. Elia Galvanin from Italy put it on pole position, obviously very nervous, home country for Elia. He finished second behind Vincent France. There was a very, very nasty accident in that one with involving one of the Jasper Liner, Ian Brunsiel, sorry, the Belgian driver. Luckily, the kart is not so great. Ilian is just fine, though. We'll see him back out tomorrow. Vincent France, Elia Galvanin, and Oakley Pryor from the United Kingdom finishing in the top 3. The second senior race was a British one too. Clayton Ravenscroft. Now, 2 years ago, Clayton came here as a junior, won everything in the heats, poled it for the pre-final, then a minor problem, an exclusion, knocked him out of the final. He is here to get revenge, but certainly to get some recompense for what he sees as being very hard done by 2 years ago. He emerged victorious in that race, beating the British champion, Guy Cunnington. For Portugal, big cheer for Guillaume de Oliveira, finishing on the podium in third place. Ryan Norberg, the American driver, first time back at the Grand Finals in 5 years. He was up there at the front as well. He got a nose-phone penalty, but still, that puts him in the top 8. Now, DD2 Masters. Firstly, Slavomir Moransky and Primoz Matelic. We hope they're okay. And a big, big hello to Callum Orr and the French driver who Callum was involved in an accident in practice. They both had to go to hospital and withdrew from the event. The Team New Zealand and Team France wanted me to just say, well done for sticking with us. We're thinking of you. We hope you get better soon. And that goes for everyone in the Rotax family as well. Callum and your colleague, we'll see you back at the track very soon. The racing itself, very, very good. Antti Ollikainen, forever the bridesmaid. Is he going to be P1 this year? 3 times he's finished second. He won his first heat. The main talking point was very 2 quick Latvian drivers. Heinrich Gruber on his debut, and then Eric Gasparovitz. They finished second and third. Robert Pazewski, fastest of all in qualifying. He finishes in 4th place. And then in the second DD2 Masters heat, it was Nicholas Verheul for South Africa, beating debutant from Argentina, Matias Rodriguez. Now the biggest class of all, the Premier class, the DD2 class, 2 fantastic races. Petr Březel, Czech Republic driver, has finished in the top 5 of the last 6 years in various classes. He won the opening race ahead of Daniel Masicek from Austria and Kasper Bilecki from Poland. 2 Italian drivers, Christian Trolese and Luca Muneretto, also featured strongly. Muneretto finishing on the road in the top 3, but then having a nose cone penalty, this dropped him back to 10th. The last DD2 race of the day went the way of the French, Nicolas Picot and Lucas Joly. Now, last year in Brazil, Paolo Bessonsone was the champion for France. France picking up where they left off. That is a 1-2 finish for France. Picot, Joly and Villa-Villiainen finishing in 3rd place. Special mention to Cody Gillis, making his return in seniors, the 2017 DD2 champion. He won on the road in his senior heat race, but nose cone dropped, back to 8th. But the Aussie driver from Wollongong is here, fighting fit, and he is looking to make it 2 wins out of 3 years. The Thundercarts were on circuit, and it was the Swiss driver, Paresi, who won the race, beating Bradley Barrett from the United Kingdom. Great to see the DEKM karts here, looking very sleek, looking very fast, but looking too quiet. That was the action today, and back to you, Jen.
Thanks, Henry. Well, they are quiet, but it's a nice way to finish the day. And I always think it's a nice way to start the day. I wish they were first thing in the morning, because you can actually drink that cappuccino here at this gorgeous circuit in Sarno, and talk to people and kind of ease your way into the day. But of course, we eased our way out of the day with the e-cart. And of course, not to forget my special guest now. We had Manfred Weisgerber, but Arnaldo Frias. Of course, Caritas, the organizer and promoter of this event, 20 years. I know you haven't been with us for 20, but almost.
No.
What a great day. What a great day's racing. Great way to start. Quite a little bit of pushing and shoving and you know, I think these guys were just like so focused today. It was like as soon as they came out the gate, the Micromax, we were on. It was on, and you know you're at the grand finals. But the other side of it, it's a lot of work to be
Yes.
here. A lot of
Yes.
work, huh?
Yes, but it's important to every year to build up such an event because those customers, they work hard in the track for being here, for having the chance to be in such a nice track. So for us, it's really, it's also good to see that they are enjoying it.
Yeah. They have a lot of fun. It's very competitive. We were up in the driver's tent today and in the paddock. It's a positive feeling. People coming up saying, this is such a great event. I love it. And now, just to get that ticket seems to be, you know, it's what it's all about. If they've got that ticket, they feel so special. They are the best, or
And they
they're
are.
the qualified drivers from all around the world, almost 60 nations.
Yes, and they are very
Yeah.
special
Yeah.
because
They're all winners.
Yes, they are all winners.
Yeah.
So they really are very special, and they are really special for us. That's why every year we try to improve and to try to give them something more. But at the end, what they expect is being the fastest in the track.
That's right. But we always have fantastic locations. We were talking to Manfred earlier about when we started. It started in Puerto Rico, how it started.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he told me he met you in Lanzarote, which was a few years later.
I worked with him in
Yeah.
Lanzarote.
Yeah, which was
Yeah.
also fantastic.
Yes, was nice
Wish we
location.
could go back there, but is it big enough to take all these people? No. Okay.
The problem is
All right, we
this.
have to find somewhere else on another island. But this is fantastic, huh? To celebrate 20 years.
Yes,
20th
and in this
anniversary.
track, because this track has something special in the karting, so and also we have a nice paddock. The track owner has improved a lot. The facilities are really nice for such a event like this,
Yes.
which is not very easy because you cannot find a lot of facilities in Europe or even around the world that can host such an event.
Of course, we have to remember there are thousands of people coming here.
Yeah.
Many families, friends, people that just come spectators.
About 2,500 people.
Yeah.
Some figures that really are interesting, like 600 rental cars,
Yes.
which is amazing because
It is
it's
amazing.
really 1,500 rooms.
Yes. My
This
goodness.
is really
And you have to have all that in mind when you also
Yeah.
decide on a location. Not only the circuit has to be good,
yeah.
and the paddock has to take these people.
Yes.
Of course, now we've also got the e-cart,
Yes.
so we have to accommodate
Yeah.
the thunder
Also,
as
the
well.
weather is important
And the
because
weather.
I think a location where the expectations of good weather are higher, because I think also the weather it's 30% of the exit of the event.
Yeah.
And
so
here we
positive.
have been lucky to have
Yes.
such a
I think we should start the petition now. While we're here on the studio, we should
Yes.
start the petition for a track in the Bahamas and a track in the Maldives, maybe.
Why
Think
not?
That would be good. That would be
Why
good.
not?
Yeah, that would be nice. We'll start the
Okay.
campaign here.
Okay, I'll get out there tomorrow and
Yeah.
get that petition going.
Mm.
I'm looking forward to that. We've had fantastic weather. Tomorrow, of course, we're going to have heat 2 and 3 for everybody. Get into the racing. We kick off around 8 o'clock with the warm-up. But we're going to enjoy this nice weather. A little bit cooler today, maybe 2 degrees. Maybe it's only going to be 25. I checked. And then the live stream begins again at 10:30. And I know, Arnaldo, you've been watching the live. No, you haven't. I know you're too busy. But you can watch it when you go back home and see.
I do.
Yes, you do. I know you do. And also, Henry, 10:30, we're going to kick off again tomorrow for the racing. And
Yeah.
and then we're going to see where the numbers add up.
Yeah, today was obviously it's an important day. The difference in the morning, the drivers, the last couple of days, you see you walking around the paddock and
Yeah.
everyone's smiling.
Yes.
The business that
Now
faces
they are.
went on today.
Yes.
Tomorrow, it's critical. If you had one bad race today, then you've got 2 more heats tomorrow to make it up. If you have 2 bad races tomorrow, then we don't want to say that your chances are over, but
Yeah, but
you are starting at the back of the pre-final.
yes.
And now, so tomorrow is the most intense day of on-track activity.
But there's lots more to come. I know there's a few surprises that I know there's surprises, but I don't know what they are coming up. You probably know. He's not going to tell us. I know. I was
poker
warned, don't
face.
ask him. He won't tell you. We've got a few surprises coming up for everybody that's here. And, of course, we've got all different things happening over the next few days. So we're going to say goodbye now, go get some dinner, and prepare for tomorrow's racing. Most importantly, vote for your favourite team from the drivers' party at the beginning of the week. They're on social media, Rotax Karting, Rotax New Age Karting, on Instagram, Facebook. Follow us. Make sure you send some messages. And yeah, it's been great having you here in the live studio. Thank you, Arnaldo. I know you're a really
Thank you.
busy man. You have to run off. Thank you, Henry, for a great day's commentary. And stay with us tomorrow night around the same time, but we'll let you know what time on social media. We'll talk about it during the day. And some more guests coming tomorrow night in the studio. Thanks for having us. Thanks for being here. And thanks for a
Thank you.
fantastic event.